bullying for children is really difficult to deal with. We know that, and we can't. We don't want to understate that or underestimate it. But we also know that bullying has been in the world since time immemorial. Yet kids have not always committed suicide at a rate like this, because so that means it's something else is clearly going on here. And we also know that as the suicide rate among children has increased exponentially, so have the number of children prescribed psychiatric drugs. There are currently I think it's over 7 million kids, pushing 8 million kids right now who are on some kind of psychotropic medication. Over half of them are being treated for ADHD. Now, we know that correlation does not prove causation. So just because we know we have an increase in psychotropic medication among kids, an exponential increase, and then we also have an exponential increase in suicide. So we know that these two things are increasing together. That doesn't prove that the one causes the other. But I do think that there's enough correlation here to at least make us wary about dosing our kids with this stuff. And the drug companies obviously know that there is a connection between suicide and the stuff that they're producing, because that's why they list it as a side effect. In fact, just a couple of years ago, health officials in Canada mandated that the companies that make ADHD medication, they have to make the suicide warnings clearer and stronger. So we know that there's a connection, and nobody can deny it. Even the drug companies know it. They also know, and studies have shown this as well, that when you give psychiatric medication to children, it does leave a lasting mark on the developing brains of children. Now, they might not want to talk about this, they might not want to admit it, but we know that. Now, we don't know exactly what those long-term effects are, or how they might manifest themselves, or how long the effects might last. There's a lot we don't know. And the people who want to defend these drugs, they're going to be quick to say this. They're going to say, well, you can't, it's not a one-to-one thing. There's not a straightforward connection that can be drawn between, suicide and these drugs, or violent behavior and the drugs. Well, that's true, but that's just because we don't have all the information. There's a pediatric psychologist named Ronald Brown, and here's how he put it. He said, there is more use of psychotropic medication with children than there is research data on it. Let me read that again. There is more use of psychotropic medication with children than there is research data on it. So the prescribing of these drugs has way outpaced the information and the data we have about how these drugs might affect our kids. That's a problem. And I would think that the lack of information, the lack of data, rather than that giving us a reason to just say, oh, well, we might as well just keep giving it to kids, that's a reason to pull back and to slow down and to exercise extreme caution before prescribing these substances to children. But that apparently is not how the drug companies and the medical establishment sees it. So they just keep churning out the pills, and they shove this stuff down the throats of our children, and they issue these assurances that it's all perfectly safe. Safe? How can you even say that? How can you tell me that it might make a fourth grader consider suicide, but it's safe? And how can you tell me that it might make a child hallucinate, and it might alter her personality, it might make her violent, it might make her aggressive, but it's safe? And let's keep something in mind here. Childhood suicide is just one of the awful and increasingly common phenomena that could be linked to psychiatric drugs.